Hey guys, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Friday, everyone. Time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So, let me talk first a little bit about yesterday, since the motor is back, freshly off the dyno over at Low Bucket, AJ Sims's shop. AJ Sims's shop. Well, that's a tongue twister. Anyway, so he's the one who supplies the fuel injection system here, made by partnership with him and Phytech. And anyway, so as if you saw yesterday's episode, you know that we dynoed this thing. I think it made I don't know, what was it, 104 horsepower and 126 foot-pounds of torque. Very broad, flat torque curve. It should be amazing. Again, this is the motor for 69 bay window, big blue over here. And this thing is going to be just amazing to drive. Should be super smooth and plenty of grunt to pull that relatively big, heavy bus around. Anyway, I mentioned yesterday, if you saw the episode, that we were having a very hard time starting it initially. And it turned out that for some reason, and I don't know if he ever got to the bottom of it, the two injectors that feed this barrel somehow were not firing. And so when you go to start this particular system, what happens is when you turn the key on, all four injectors, so 2 and 2, are supposed to like spritz a little gas down here. Basically kind of the same as, if you go to start a carbureted car and you hit the throttle and the accelerator pump will kind of squirt some gas down in there just to fire the thing up. And then of course, once it's running, then the fuel injectors will pulse, intermittently at whatever frequency and so on. They need to keep the motor running. But yeah, as far as starting is concerned, each one is supposed to fire, so 2 and 2. Anyway, for whatever reason, on the other throttle body we had, these two weren't firing. So again, I don't know if he figured out what was going on there. He suspected maybe it was a ground issue. Anyway, as it turns out, when you pull off this part of the throttle body housing, the injectors are housed in there. So anyway, and this is the fuel rail that feeds them and stuff. Anyway, so I mean, it actually kind of worked out to our advantage in a way, because the black throttle body looks way better on here than the gold colored one. I don't know why we went with the gold colored one. I think maybe he just didn't have any of the black ones available at the time. He was maybe out of them or something. And I said, what, let's get this thing going. Let's just go with the gold one. But yeah, the black one, you can ignore this, which wouldn't normally be sitting here. But yeah, look at that, guys. All the black, the pulleys and the distributor cap, and then this kind of in the middle, just actually all really ties it together kind of nice. So really pretty motor for, a motor that's got a single single throttle body in the middle and a big air conditioner pump on it. Still pretty. It's actually, I think it's really kind of cool looking. Looks kind of high tech looking for a Volkswagen motor. Anyway, so that's that. I just wanted to mention a few things about this now that it's back from the dyno, and now you can see the header's got some color in it. We got it good and hot, brought it up to temp, and kind of leaned on it several times, and motor did great, ran great. He did play around with it a little bit, I think today or yesterday when we were done getting the starting circuit to run a little bit better. I think, speaking of the gas that it kind of squirts in there initially, I think he upped that a little bit, and that helped it start even better than it was yesterday. So anyway, that's it for that. So guys, most of my day was spent on this thing, just trying to power through particularly the back of the car and get all of the back of the car things done so that I can get this thing back on the ground here. And guys, it's like that close to being ready to start. There's a few things holding me up from starting it, and I'll talk about those momentarily. But first off, let's crawl under it real quick and we'll take a look at the plumbing and stuff for the oil system. Okay guys, here we are. So yeah, all this plumbing happened today for the complete oil system. I think it was maybe a couple days ago I had I'd figured out the mounting of the oil cooler up in there and mounted it. I had to make some little brackets and stuff. And yeah, then today just finally kind of crawled under here and started mocking things up to figure out exactly how I wanted to route the oil hoses, and then kind of one by one started plumbing them in. And so you can see basically what's going on here is coming from the motor to the oil filter right there, and then from the oil filter out over to, basically that goes over to the thermostat, which you can see that thing right there. That's the thermostat, is that housing there. So coming from the filter through that thermostatic switch and then into the oil cooler, back out of the oil cooler then on this side, and then from there basically a straight shot to the motor. So yeah, I got that all plumbed in, and then I went ahead also and wired in the thermostat itself. So the thermostat, or excuse me, yeah, the thermostat and and a relay to power the thing. So these fans draw 80 watts, which at 12 volts I think ends up being like I don't know, about 8 amps or so. I felt like that's too much to just run it off, say the coil positive wire. I don't know, I just feel like it'd be kind of asking for it. So went ahead and wired in a 12 volt relay. So the relay is wired in. It gets its main power feed is from basically directly from the battery. So there's a wire that runs essentially over the transmission to the starter, where the starter gets 12 volt power directly from the battery. So that's 12 volts, the feed. That's sort of the main power that's gonna, essentially supply the amps needed for the fan. And then the activation for the relay is on the coil positive, but then the negative side of the relay actually runs through the thermostatic switch. And so the way that works is when those switches sense the temperature that they're set at, then they close essentially the connection between the two wires on it. And so basically, yeah, the relay is switched on the negative side. So if you're running the car and the fan is on, when you turn the key off, the fan will also shut off. It won't just like keep sitting there running and draining your battery down or whatever. But so that's how that's all wired up. So yeah, kind of a pain wiring it up underneath there. There's just not really a lot of room to work under there, but pretty happy overall with how it came out and how it's all sort of tucked up under there. But yeah, that was kind of a big job, guys, getting everything sort of neat and tidy and not just having crap sort of running every which way, wires going all over the place, etc. So but yeah, that was actually kind of a big deal on this car. It was a sort of big part of what the car needed done. While I was under here, I went ahead and filled up his transmission. There's the plug right there. Filled his transmission up with gear oil, adjusted the clutch, what else? Made sure that his throttle cable Bowden tube was connected to the back of the throttle tube that runs through the fan shroud. Connected his throttle cable to the carburetor linkage. Let's see. I think those are kind of the main things I did back sort of under the car to get all that stuff done. So the other kind of big thing that I did, I guess, was to put on the muffler and the exhaust pipes. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, frankly, with this setup that's got the big giant ass pea shooters. You pretty much have to put those on the muffler. You can see where they attach right there. And then you've got this huge unwieldy thing, the muffler, with that hanging off it. And then you've got to get it on the V-band clamp here where it comes onto the header, and where it sort of hangs off the front of the motor here, off the basically off the exhaust to support the weight of this muffler. So yeah, it's very unwieldy, guys, to get that all up in there. So you pretty much just start connecting stuff where you can, leave everything loose, and then you know, gradually just sort of tighten everything down, make sure everything's fitting where it should. And it's not really hard, it's just sort of cumbersome to work with, but it does actually look pretty sick. Really love how those giant, like almost ridiculously oversized looking pea shooter outlets look pretty cool, and I'm sure it's going to sound great. So other minor thing is I hooked his clutch, or excuse me, his shifter linkage up underneath the back seat there. Kind of just ran the shifter through the gears. It felt like it was going into all 4 gears in reverse, but until the car is running and on the ground and you can actually move the car, you never know. But you know, it's brand new transmission, everything should be good to go. So other than maybe a little shifter adjustment, that should all be fine. I don't really see any issues with all that. So the reason I'm not quite ready to start it yet, there's a couple. One is that his brakes need to be bled. So they bled his brakes before, but they were just never able to really get like a really solid pedal feel. And so we'll go ahead and we'll bleed those again and make sure that we can, you know, achieve, no air in the lines and like a good solid pedal, how it should feel. So I like to do that with the gas tank out, so I can kind of see and check for any leaks around the master cylinder and stuff like that. So that's one thing. Here though is the other thing, guys, with this car. So this is a brand new steering box, which he said he bought from SoCal Imports, I think he said. Apologies to SoCal Imports if this wasn't from them, but I'm pretty sure that's who he said it was from. Look at the free play in this steering box, guys. And you can see the pitman arm there. That's not steering the car. That's 100% free play. That's a lot, guys. I don't even remember when the last time I saw an old wore out, stock steering box off a, original one off a car that had that much slop in it. And this is a brand new steering box. So you can see they put all the like paint on the bolts and stuff so that if somebody got in and started monkeying around with it, they would know, so they could, I guess, void the warranty or whatever. I haven't touched this thing. The owner and his buddy installed it on there, and all I did was I put on a new rag joint here and connected the the couplings on either side and stuff like that. I didn't do anything. I didn't try to adjust that or anything. And yeah, look at that, guys. God, that is terrible. So the owner said he thinks that that the original steering box he had off this car actually feels pretty good, and so he's gonna bring that one by Monday, I think, and so we'll probably go ahead and swap that. And the only thing is I'm guessing that if it is truly the original one off the original 57 Beetle, that this pitman arm is probably not going to be right, because I'm guessing almost anything this is a later pitman arm. So it's always something, guys. Stuff just you can't just necessarily throw the other steering box on, because I don't know. We'll see. I guess technically I can just use this pitman arm on the new steering box, or on the old steering box. It should go on there, but actually I don't remember, but we'll see one way or the other. This is not gonna do, guys. So there you go. Anyway, so yeah, once I take care of all that and get the brakes bled, then and only then I will put the gas tank in, and at that point I can fire this thing up. So hopefully maybe mid next week we'll start this thing up, and maybe even take it for its maiden voyage. So yeah, we'll see, guys, but should be happening pretty soon. So the only other thing I did today, a tiny bit, is I went ahead and installed the master cylinder here on the blue 64 and hooked up the rear brake line, which is that one right there. And then I started making my templates. You can see that S-shaped one there and another one there. Started making my templates for forming the hard lines. I have to make a custom hard line for that side because it's the stock one isn't long enough, and the one made for a dual circuit car is too long, so I'll just cut one to length. And but yeah, no big deal. Do it all the time. So yeah, anyway, got a little bit done on this one today. So guys, that is it, and that is actually it for this week. I will not be in this weekend, and unlike last weekend where I said I wouldn't be in and then I did end up coming in for a few minutes, not happening this weekend. It is my mom's 87th birthday, so happy birthday to my mom. And we are actually driving down there tomorrow, Saturday morning, to spend the weekend with her and my family down in San Diego. So I will be back for more adventures with Volkswagen Restoration on Monday, guys. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you all again Monday. Bye.